One of the biggest things that scares me, and I was reminded of this flare up today because it's so severe, is when I had my heart attack and then I had my spinal surgeries after that, a year after that. I was in a wheelchair for 2 years. Then I was on a walker for about 6 months, and then I was on a cane for another 3 years. Thereabouts, rough time frame. I When I moved back to Oklahoma, I don't know what changed, but I was able to get off the cane. And I was so happy for it because I used to hike everywhere when I was younger. When I was a kid, hey Loki. When I was a kid, I I would walk all over town when I was like 18, 19 years old. I didn't have a car. I didn't get my license until I was 21 because I couldn't afford a car to take the test with because I grew up poor. And and since I couldn't go anywhere, I didn't stay home. I would walk from one end of the town to the other to visit friends and family, and I could walk a good 10 miles at a stretch without even getting winded. I used to walk to work, um, and everything else. And after I had the problems that caused me to be in a wheelchair, it's become one of my biggest fears. And so far, I haven't had any problems with it up until yesterday and today. When I was at the Ren Fair, when the flare up started getting worse, and it was towards the end of the day when we were about to head home, I had to buy a walking stick because I couldn't walk anymore, especially on that mud, without the assistance, so I could go a little longer. And today, I went to go get this guy some more cat food and dry food and wet food, and I could barely walk. My legs felt like they were just jello, and my knees kept trying to collapse. I had to lean on the shopping cart for support. And that terrifies me when that happens because I'm afraid of losing my ability to walk again. And that's like one of my biggest fears, uh, because it limits you so much. Um, and then when you're semi-mobile, you're not paralyzed, but you're in a wheelchair. So you want to read something on the shelf in the grocery store, yeah, you'll stand up to do that. And people look at you like, oh, you're faking it. Yeah, you can stand up to get that item on the top of the shelf there, but you can't walk 3 feet, for any consistency without running risk of collapsing. So it damages your self-esteem. It damages your just general joy at life to do that. And I know this is probably just muscle fatigue as well as the pain and inflammation on the lumbar region of my spine that they never corrected fully. That caused my problems with the legs to begin with, and it's just probably inflamed and pressing on that nerve. But it terrifies me, man. I do not want to lose my ability to walk again. I've got it back, and I'm so happy to get it back, and it scares me. And I don't know what I'm going to do if I do that again, because this apartment is not set up for disabled access. The wheelchairs, that's the reason my dad doesn't live here now, because he couldn't get his wheelchair into the bathroom, much less to get to the shower or anything like that. So I don't know. But yeah, I'm a little worried today. I hope this will pass, which I'm sure it will, and it's just my own fear, just from past trauma with it, playing on my nerves. But I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So hopefully tomorrow will be better, and I'll be able to walk without struggle tomorrow. Today it was like moving through water on legs made out of jello. I had to walk very slow. I couldn't stand up straight in the aisle. Almost fell a couple of times. Um, so yeah, just always remember, you see somebody who looks healthy, but they're using some sort of walking assistance. They're not doing it for attention. Nobody wants to do that for attention. It's not fun. It's not worth any attention you get, most of the attention you get is negative anyway. So when you see somebody like that, they look healthy, but they're struggling to move, or they're having to use assisted devices. Don't judge them. I've had that happen before. I've had right after my heart attack. I had a guy I pulled into a. I hadn't lost all the muscle yet, and I had pulled into a handicap spot. I had a handicap tag, and when I went to go out of the car, I had the guy yelling at me because I'm not handicapped. Obviously, I'm not handicapped because I'm walking, and I had to actually pull down my shirt to show him the bypass scar that was still healing, just to get him to shut up. And you shouldn't have to worry about that. You should not have to worry about that when you're already struggling. So don't judge people. Don't judge people. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their story is. And if somebody's doing it for attention, who cares? You don't have to give them attention. Just leave them alone, because you know what? They may not be doing it for attention. And you're just going to make their day 10 times worse. You're going to make them feel like a burden. You're going to make them feel like they're just not worth anything when you do that kind of crap. And I had a guy thinking I was drunk today because I was stumbling. He asked me how much I'd been drinking. I had nothing in my system except for tobacco, and not even the wacky kind. But I couldn't keep a steady walk. And after he said that, there were cops outside arresting a guy, and it made me really nervous walking by him to go in my car, because I knew I didn't have a steady gait, and I could be perceived as drunk, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. So, you see somebody struggling, don't assume what they're struggling with. Just either help them or leave them alone, because we're going through enough as it is. So, anyway, I'll get off my soapbox on that. It's something very near and dear to my heart. I see too many people judging, and I've been judged too many times myself. And it's just, there's no reason for it. You don't know a person's struggle. You don't know what they've been through. And you don't know, honestly, you don't know if you went through the same thing, if you'd be as strong. You really don't. Because some of the strongest people I know have been through some of the worst stuff you could imagine, and survived it and thrived. So yeah, if you haven't been tested, you have no right to judge. That's all I got to say about that. So, and even if you have been tested, you still have no right to judge. I still won't judge anybody that I see if they're, needing some sort of mobility assistance. I'm not going to wonder what's wrong with them. I'm just going to think they need mobility assistance, and if they need help them. If I need to just get out of the way so they can have an easier way of getting by, then I'll do that. But I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, what are you disabled for? Why are you in that? Why are you using that? It's none of my business. None of my business. And none of anybody else's either. So, let people live their lives. And hopefully tomorrow, I won't look like a drunkard when I'm walking. Hopefully tomorrow my legs will be more stable. The swelling in my spine will have gone down, and I'll be able to walk better. And I won't have to go back to the cane. I really don't want to go back to the cane. So, anyway, I hope everybody has a great day. And just keep that in mind. Help people when you can, and don't judge people if you can't help them. Let people live their lives. And I will talk to you in the next video.